Okay, this will be a slightly longer Corvette update video. We got the brakes bled today and a little more wiring done, and the master cylinder obviously in finally. Let's see, while she's up, you can see everything we've been doing underneath. Monkeying with all the wiring, dealing with the headers, coming up with a way to keep the factory routing. Really runs the positive cable really close to this ear from the old mounts from the old days. So we made a little bracket for that. Here you can see the back of the power steering pump. You can see the hose comes down and we've got a nice fitting on that. It comes down to the shuttle here, and then this valve that's actually on the drag link then runs this ram here. You can see the lines there. Unlike a typical power steering, this is more like a 55 Chevy or something. So, and then the return from that, it actually tees up. Where is it? Right here. You can see she tees in from the return from the Hydroboost. This gets fed from the Hydroboost. This goes straight. In fact, you can see that's the main pressure hose right there. That goes to the Hydroboost. There's a pan on the floor because we were doing brakes, of course. You can see, yeah, there you can kind of see the pump. And then got the speedo cable run finally. And we actually have all the kickdown wiring figured out and done. In fact, that nice little connector there is that. Down here, hiding in the gill, that's the 3 relays for the fan, because we're going to do the series parallel switched version, just like most GMs would be. There you can see the underside of the Hydroboost right there, and the master cylinder and all the space it gives us. That's our horn relay right there, which is your main power feed in these cars. Remember, it's a fiberglass car, so ground gets distributed, everything gets distributed very, very precisely. So that's that wiring. And then we haven't done much back here in a long time. But you can see, you know, the fancy monoleaf on the back. Alright, and right here you can see for the fuel injection, you're feeding your return line coming off, plus the wire harness here running there. And here is the Corvette style regulator from an LS motor, so it's set at 58 psi going forward from this point, and then that runs up way up here, and then right here you can see it goes to the line that then goes up to the sniper setup. So now let's drop the car, which you can see is a beautiful blue color, not orange. And then you can see the interior is really coming together. And we've got the controller for the sniper run and all that wiring. In fact, everything for the EFI is now integrated completely. So we've got everything except, well, even the power feeds are run to the back, but they're not hooked up yet because there's no battery, which is a good reason to not have it. But if you come in here, you can see we've got the main power wires run, and then they run up in the cell channel all the way up real nicely. You can see right up here, well, maybe you can see, not really, I should have brought a light for that, but where the fuel pump relay is mounted up on the column, so it's nice and easy to get at. Yeah, so the interior is really coming together. Everything in there is almost done. Not putting the seats in until it runs. But here you can see how nice and neat the wiring has gotten. Including the grounds for the fans. Had to pick a nice spot. But here's the Hydroboost setup. And we were able to modify some factory stainless lines to work with that, which is always hard on the hands, but did it. And then for the wiring harness, we actually took and put a nice clamp here and ran the main harness through there. And then this grommet here has all the feeds for the EFI system, as well as the oil line and the main feed for the power windows, which we're missing one of these So as soon as it gets that, that'll bolt in. Yeah, we really tidied up the harness over here. It was a lot messier than it is now. It's not completely finished until we finish some hose routing. But you can see we're not quite ready to hook up the AC yet. But look at all the room that you get in there. And I think he finally found some clamps he likes for the hoses. So he's going to get that cleaned up. And you can see here, now this pipe isn't finalized yet. You know, you only get one shot crimping them, so we're not going to do that until we're ready. But linkage is all finally running nicely. So I think it's time for him to add a gusset here and paint this so that that bracket can be finalized. It was a lot more work than we expected that to be. So it won't be too much longer before we're actually priming the motor. We're going to have to decide, well, we're probably going to break her in on just a standard Dizzy, get the EFI working before we go to control of the timing as well. One variable at a time here. So yeah, you can see it's not going to be too hard to run spark plug wires. We'll build those in the next week or two. And yeah, from this side you can see nice, tidy. All this will almost disappear once the air cleaner's on. You won't notice any of that with the distributor and the air cleaner going. But yeah, you can see how much more room that gives you. It does move the master forward, but the lines will bend. Not a big deal. And boy, the brake pedal sure feels good, and that's even without it running. So yeah, we're definitely getting there. Yeah, notes from the dyno from a million years ago. This car really liked 32.5 degrees of timing. But yeah, and then there's the electric fans and the new radiator. So yeah, not a lot of wiring left to do at this stage. Got to figure out a little bit to do with the doors, with some switches. Make sure we don't damage anything before we actually close them. Get the exhaust on there. Get an ignition system set up. Get coolant going through it. Yeah, a couple of weeks we actually might be trying to apply power. We're not going to worry about the light harness yet. It's in here. It's sitting around. It's kind of in the way. But it's not important to starting the car. Because I think we're going to change from the vacuum to an electric wiring or electric motors for the headlights, because this engine doesn't draw much vacuum and nobody wants a vacuum pump. So that's kind of where we're at on the Corvette. I know I didn't do a whole lot of videos during the process of this. It doesn't seem like it, but this has been a giant job, and he's been putzing on it for years. A little here, a little there, although it went to paint jail forever. So now that it's back, we're just kind of trying to get things figured out. Literally the only thing I'm unhappy with is with this exhaust. I know the O2s won't live as long, but there really wasn't any option with that exhaust on where I could clock that. So there will be a moisture trap. These things may or may not live forever, but that's okay. They're not the, not the end of the world. But you can see, that's a nice safe location. It'll read pretty good. That's literally the only thing in the whole system that I'm a little upset about. But it's that, or you got to put a hole in the body, and we didn't want to do that. So yeah, and then brake system bled out perfectly. We're very happy with the way that feels. Even without the power, it's solid. It's going to stop the car. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. That is a Corvette update.